Hi, I'm Mike Sinello, and I'm here today to clarify some misinformation about the New Milford Town Charter revisions proposed by the Charter Revision Commission. Let's start with the annual town budget. The only revision to the budget development process prior to referendum is that the Board of Finance will now have line item discretion. The mayor and town council are not removed from the process, as their roles will otherwise remain unchanged. If either of the municipal or Board of Education sides of the budget passes at referendum, then that side of the budget stands and cannot be adjusted post-referendum. If either of the municipal or Board of Education sides of the budget fails to pass at referendum, then it returns to the Board of Finance for revisions. Currently, failed budgets return to the Town Council for revisions. In the new system, however, the Board of Finance will not necessarily have the proverbial final say on revisions, as the Town Council can still call a meeting with a majority petition after the Board of Finance has completed their revisions and, with a 2/3 majority, or 6 votes, can override the Board of Finance revisions with full line item discretion. The reasons for these revisions are twofold. One, the new system creates a check on the Town Council, thereby actually adding an element of responsibility during the revision process should a budget fail to pass a referendum. Two, by restoring a balance of power between the Town Council and Board of Finance, the charter revisions create a system of checks and balances during the budget development process that do not currently exist. It should also be noted that the reason members of the Board of Finance are elected to their positions is, ostensibly, based on their financial acumen, as opposed to councilmen who are elected ostensibly based on their legislative acumen. The new revisions also clear up language regarding the phrasing of referendum advisory questions, making future budget referendum advisory questions easier for voters to understand. Let's now move on to the role of the Board of Finance as an oversight body for the Director of Finance. The major revision around which there appears to be some confusion is Part E of Section 806, Duties of the Board of Finance on Other Financial Matters. The revised section reads thusly, quote, "In addition to the duties prescribed elsewhere in this charter, the Board of Finance shall have the power to advise the Director of Finance and approve or reject the investment of any town funds exceeding 1/8 of 1 mil, or exceeding 1/2 of 1 mil in the aggregate during the course of a fiscal year, in one or more of the following. 1. Time deposits of greater than 364 days. 2. Marketable securities. And 3. Private placements." End quote. What the new provisions do is reduce the threshold of investment before the Board of Finance is allowed to approve or reject an investment from 1/2 of 1 mil to 1/8 of 1 mil. In today's dollars, that equates to a reduction from millions of dollars to still hundreds of thousands of dollars. It does not preclude the establishment of checking or savings accounts. It does not preclude still hundreds of thousands of dollars of investments, and it does not necessarily require Board of Finance or approval for any investment, but merely allows the Board of Finance to reject an investment of hundreds of thousands of dollars if they so choose. This revision was made to prevent, for example, a multi-million-dollar investment in a marketable security that even the lay investor would never have made, knowing full well that the investment will lose money, such as a multi-million-dollar investment in bonds at a time when even the novice investor knows that the bond rates are set to increase. The role of the Board of Finance as providers of oversight over the actions of the Director of Finance are otherwise left largely unchanged. The revised charter will not, as Gail Alexander put it, quote, "place unreasonable restrictions on the Director of Finance in doing even simple things like establishing checking and savings accounts," end quote. One of the other charter revisions was to add one member to the Board of Finance to increase the total number of seats from 6 to 7. This was done for a number of reasons. 1. The Board of Finance was the last remaining board or commission that had an even number of seats. The increase to 7 seats will bring the Board of Finance in line with other boards and commissions. 2. Assuming all seats will be filled either with seated members or alternates, having a 7th seat reduces the likelihood of a tie during a vote. Although a tie is not itself a bad thing, in the event of a tie, the mayor acts as a voting ex officio, and as such, is forced to cast the deciding vote. The Charter Revision Commission found this to be problematic, as the mayor may then have a vote in a decision that acts to oversee the actions of the office of the mayor, such as the approval of large expenditures off budget. The revisions reduce the risk of a prima facie conflict of interest. 3. The increase in total membership aligns the Board of Finance with Connecticut statutes regarding minority representation. It is correct that the Board of Finance has never had 7 members. However, any proposed change that is not a return to a pre-existing proviso is inherently going to be a revision that has never been part of the Charter. If the Charter Revision Commission is not to make changes that return pre-existing provisos, and is not to make changes to the Charter that are new to the town charter, then there are no revisions the Charter Revision Commission could possibly produce, and placing such restrictions on the Commission would be violative of their state-mandated charge. Some of the other revisions proposed by the Charter Revision Commission, and which have largely gone unmentioned, include revisions that align the town charter with updated state statutes, revisions that align the town charter with the existing form of town government, such as revisions to sections that include references to the first selectman, clarification of language to make the charter easier to read for the layman, moving of sections to better align them with other parts of the town charter and for ergonomic reading, and clarification of the language regarding how town council terms are filled should a vacancy occur. The last point is important, as the prior charter required that appointed councilmen filling vacancies are to be replaced the moment the next election occurs, leaving a roughly 1-month period of limbo in which it was not clear as to who fills the seats. The revised charter clarifies the language such that councilmen appointed to fill a vacancy shall fill the vacancy until the term expires, regardless of the timing of an election, preventing the disastrous mess that occurred in November of 2017 with the filling of a vacant town council seat. If the proposed revisions were in place in 2017, John Kane would have been able to complete the remainder of the vacated term without contest. There were proposed changes that were not included in the Commission's recommendations, and many were not included because it was the intent of the Charter Revision Commission to bring forward revisions that they thought would both be meaningful improvements and revisions that would actually pass at referendum. It should not be forgotten that revisions can only be voted on at referendum in their totality, meaning a single hot-button topic could prevent other absolutely necessary changes from passing at referendum. These more contentious changes can be brought to and recommended then by another Charter Revision Commission, which can be formed at any time and for any reason. This was also why certain revision recommendations are omitted from the recommendations of the last Charter Revision Commission in 2006. I am happy to do another video if there is demand for one regarding revision recommendations that were omitted this time around, but that is a topic for another video. There are other more mundane revisions that have been proposed as well. I encourage everyone to read the proposed changes, and I will post a link at the end of and in the description of this video to a PDF of the changes. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to seeing everyone on November 6th. I'm Mike Sanello.